Hi Virgo. Happy birthday to those Virgos out there. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an amazing time this month. I know it will be hard work as always, but there's a different version of work coming into play, of course. And before we get into it, all information to work with me one-on-one is below. I have a website up you can take a look at. All of the scheduling is on there as well. It's much easier, so please check that out. I'm running a special for the full moon, which is coming out, which is the day of this reading, or the day after. So you can book that day for the future. Any questions, you can contact me. I look forward to hearing from you. Now let's get into your reading. Virgo. All right. First card out is Strength. I'll show it to you in just a moment. Just want to see. Okay. Strength in the present moment. Strength right here and right now. This is you being willing to face and have courage to face what it is that's right in front of you. Both of them are looking the same way. So if we're going to interpret this as if the lion is just like the bushel of pentacles here, you know, this is about what keeps coming up and through. What is instinctively the lion that you keep having compassion for and closing? Is it pride? Is it not having the courage? This is about having courage, because that's what will come after this, because you have to acknowledge where this is coming from. There may be some things you need to let go of or utilize on your table in order for them to get out, in order for you to feel your way maybe through if you're feeling stagnant. Hold on one second, I dropped. All right. Yes, this is your way through. Seeing your way through. Seeing your way through, regardless of what comes up. If you have too much pride, it has been exposed of in this season. If you are spoiling what you have or sitting on what you have, you'll be shown, okay, this month you can do that. Or we have Temperance here, the Hermit first. You can see and actually take action. Even if it is to move through something emotionally this month, to digest something emotionally this month, something has been shown to you about the way that you handle certain parts of yourself. And then you feel like maybe you're handling them and you're taking a look at them, but really it's maybe reactive in the moment where you're like, okay, later, because right now you don't want to deal with it, but it's really causing you to remain in this certain place. Even though you see growth in other areas, there's still something off, and this month it's bringing you very close to it. It looks like it could be very mercurial too, because we have Mercury and retrograded in Leo, and that may cause you to go through this mental processing that actually allows you to experience that emotionally, and notice where that experience brings you at this time in your life. I'm sorry, this was on top. In the sense of control within your security that you may have or you may not have, right? So this is the Queen of Wands is looking at the King of Pentacles. It looks like you're looking to strengthen your emotional bandwidth in order to expand or find a deeper sense of security, which means that money is also very much drawn to you at this time, and you know that, and therefore it's a time to remain quiet and steady, but you also cannot hide from experiences in which help this growth, right? You can't remain comfortable. It's not about remaining comfortable emotionally, it's learning to react better, internally and externally. Your internal world is just as important as your external world, and I think you're seeing what you've maybe quieted so much within yourself that you don't realize that it's actually a huge asset to you and something that you may need to utilize, and it just might be the time yet, but it's something you may want to nurture. There's an idea, there's something of substance here that you have, And this season, we'll ask you to experiment with it a little and notice how that causes a shift in your emotional well-being, especially if it's you seeing that you didn't realize you had some pride. And you have to have courage to look at this, to get uneasy, to feel through this experience and relinquish control of the outcome, which creates a deeper sense of security, Virgo. And this deeper sense of control, of security, if you want to put it that way, may have come from parental figures. This is strong feminine and masculine energy at this time. But this could also be about who you're dealing with, and maybe face the biggest, perhaps one of the biggest things for you is about being embarrassed in a specific way. Maybe at one point you were afraid to take a risk, and that's what this is bringing up, a time where you have failed before, or where a risk the way you used to risk feels different. So therefore, you may have found a lot of caution around that. And that is security to a sense, but you still need to feel safe within yourself to expand and move forward and take those risks if you need to, and transfer the pride into courage, even if that brings up some things that you weren't expecting, especially if it came from a Leo or a Sagittarius, or through Leo season you discovered what's been holding you back, and now it gives you more awareness over how you're spending your energy at this time. Making mistakes is important. Failing is important, right? I mentioned you may have failed, you may have had trouble with something at some point, especially money, especially your action, something that you thought was going to benefit you more. But the truth is that there's always a way to expand. And you may not feel that way at this time. You may be like, okay, all right, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. Okay, I know. What's the annoyance? What's the irritation if that's coming forward? That's you being very reactionary and not being in control of yourself. You are getting irritated with someone trying to help elevate you because that's what you want, and therefore you called it into your life. And just because it's not you, or the way you wanted it, or the way that you wanted it packaged, it doesn't matter. It's something that's been something that's easy for you. Like, what? Easy for me? I like to work hard. Yeah, you're going to work hard, but that's around what it is. This is a deeper connection to your purpose, the restraint that you're having to take flight. You're realizing the deeper, the more authentic you feel, the more that you desire security over false security or false sense of adventure or home, the more that you decide to take that journey internal and bring it into your life and expose yourself to a different way, instead of, for some reason, being so smart and witty and clever, yet there's this way that, that's what pride, it can become such a mask for this, and it could show up in your commitments too, and how you commit. If you're fully commitment, temperance is 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the water. And maybe you are truly committing in a whole way. You didn't realize that you were blind to where you weren't, because it's been underneath the pride. It's this journey to be able to go through and remember that the light is you. That everyone goes looking for the light, hermit, but they don't realize it's themselves. And you're just like, I know, it's me. And that makes you realize all the things that you did in the past made you more secure with yourself. gave you a deeper sense of trust in life. He keeps hitting this with his tail. I'm sorry. It's just so funny, and he's tickling me. Okay. But that restraint and that discipline, even though it's been deeply perhaps uncomfortable for some of you, because being one of the wild cards, you know, you have so many abilities and so many opportunities, but right now things move quickly. The more you connect with this sense of self, something that did come easier to you than normal, and is opening up doors, and it feels, especially if you're not used to something like this, it feels very different. You know, it could feel weird or painful or discomfort, even though it's really good for you. If you're not used to this being good for you, because, you know, you've decided that that's what you want. Yes, you felt frustrated about maybe connecting with this person, or recognizing or having to acknowledge this part of yourself that you've been ignoring even. And realizing that's maybe why something never connected. Why there was a lack of connection in an area of your life, whether it's romantic or financially, and maybe it's both. But maybe it's appearing more financially, and then you uncover it romantically and realize it's something that had come up before, but maybe you're too afraid to fail or even rejection at that, right? Rejection and neglect are some synonyms. I was like, what is a thesaurus? Synonyms. And when you connect, as you connect to this purpose, there's so much that expands your mind, and sense of maybe even like the way that you think and what you realize you're capable of. And things start to move quickly in a direction where you may start to meet the people that you need to meet at this time, right? You've digested something and you've stomached maybe swallowed a pill. Like you've had to swallow some medicine, and just as you know, sugar helps it goes down, right? A little sweetness helps it go down, but the sweetness is you. Sometimes you are the only person that can soften the blow for yourself, but you still, like, if you want to move forward, and you have to be willing to face those truths. And what's behind truth door number 1? JK, just the truth door in general, is that what's held you back, what your mind is showing you, is this maybe trouble with authority, trouble with how abrupt things can feel. Moving forward means letting go of this identity, and the eclipses are moving into your signs. It's true, you and Pisces. And the humiliation or the judgment or the grief or the letting go of the whole part of yourself, whether you're in the same location or not. The more that you see the way forward, the more you realize, like, it's true that a lot of things need to be let go of. That in times where you're maybe feeling more complex, what gets simple is the amount of what you spend your energy on for the time being. Right? If you're wanting to learn about something, you make that the priority and see where it brings you. This is also about you restructuring what life looks like moving forward, what you're digesting, what you're realizing, and connecting with yourself as you realize what you've been needing and wanting to see all along. That where you're going is very different than where you came from, and committing to that and being certain on that, again, the commitment word. Those you're like, I'm not a commitment phone. You can be in a relationship and still not be fully committed. It's very easy. Like, how long does it take for you? How long does the plan take? What if that was the secure risk? Is committing to the commitment you're already in. Whether that's with a person or a job, it's something that you're in the back of your mind thinking you want to run from, or what's coming up subconsciously is that, oh, you didn't realize that you didn't put your whole self into this, and what happens if you do? You're afraid to lose this part of yourself. Well, that's what change is, and you know that, but it doesn't mean that you can't decide to keep that part of yourself in some way, shape, and form. It doesn't have to be totally gone, right? You're Virgo. You think that everything is, you sometimes think that everything is extreme. It doesn't have to be. It just means being disciplined in the ways, in committing to that discipline, and then taking the proper steps moving forward. Like, that means saying no to certain things sometimes, then eventually saying, okay, I think I can do this. Like, I got this, and that's the test forward. You can't just, again, be a hermit and stay somewhere forever and be alone, because you're never going to find out if you've truly changed, and you know that. But this is also about letting someone in on what's going on, that sometimes you have to get things off your chest with someone, with your partner, being able to be honest with someone about your thoughts and not be afraid, because once you let that out, the biggest fear you realize you had is just the rejection or the non-acknowledgement. It's like, it's not that everything's going to change in that 1 second, but just letting things out, what you're seeing, what you're feeling, even though you feel really good, and then you realize it brings up times of doubt. What you can be certain of is that you can go back to that moment where it's like, oh my God, this revelation of like, this is what my purpose is, this is the way forward, this is what is going to expand my life. And then all of a sudden things move quickly, but then you find yourself looking back. Sorry. If you're looking back, allow that to be your guide forward, to show you like, okay, this is what I've done before, it didn't work. Although I know stuff will come up, how I address it now shows me the way. How I engage with feelings, uncomfortable conversation situations, what you actually are in control of is that you're way more secure now. And anyone who brings up and tests that, bless them. Because you know who you are now. You've spent enough time, and now things will move. And mentally, especially mentally, things will even out. And it causes you to see that you made the right choice. And then money will begin to shift. I'm really excited for you, Virgo. I know this is a lot of information to take in. I hope it makes sense for you in your life. Remember, this is a general reading, and to connect with me below if you want more insight, more specific details, and then we'll get right into the second part of your season. It's the ego that is shifting, and you see yourself differently, which means you have to be yourself. I love it. Hi Virgo, this is a little bonus because I re-listened to the first part, and I do really love the flow and what was said, but there's more insight that I gathered throughout. Like, it always happens right after, not always, but it happens right after a lot, and usually it's for the next sign, and I'm okay with it, but a lot of times it's for this sign. And because I don't have a whole lot of Patreon subscribers, I want to give you a little preview, and I want to go over them while we look at the cards together, and then I'll do a little bit into the next part, and then I'll put out the next part that does go on Patreon a little earlier this month. I don't know when that will be, but it will be earlier, maybe by the eclipse. So like by the time the next full moon in the next season comes out, I'll put it out right away. Yeah, so what I was saying before, right? Coming into this month, there's a lot, we don't even realize where we're covering up pride or ego or shame or guilt or any of the things that we feel inside, or any of the things that we've been hiding from ourselves. Anything that you thought you would maybe be able to overcome, and maybe you thought you've unmasked and integrated, or you thought like, just pushing it aside was going to help it transform. But the truth is that a lot of times it's engaging with what you're putting aside that actually helps it transform. So if it's coming up this month and you're like, what the fuck? Like, I already thought I looked over this. Like, they're like similar. But the truth is, it's just you've been hanging on to old fruit. You've been hanging on to old patterns. Maybe it was from past Leo seasons. There could have been a Leo involved. But for a lot of you, it's how you've been treating yourself from when things come up. When you're evolving, sometimes, Virgo, and I know you really understand this. This is also the bottom of the deck. Is that weird tidbits come up that maybe for some reason from your past, maybe from your child, weird moments can come up where while we're going through this deep clean of the heart, Venus is in Virgo, doesn't love to be there, but it's finding all these edges and details, and it's connecting you with things which have stopped you and which cause you to dim your light or not see yourself as the light. Because I do want to call this the light, as the Hermit has come out here. So whatever you have the courage to take a look at now and almost be not put in a corner, but you feel like it at first, but then you realize like that's not the truth. The truth is that this is for my alchemization process. This is for me to transmute at this time. This is for me to feel, digest, understand all things that go along with the Hermit. Your season is doing what you do to others, knowingly or not. And this season wants you to it's like controlling your magic. Like, what movies have you seen? It's like, learn to control your magic, your power. That's a part of yours. When to say, when to do, when to act. It's a lot to pay attention to, but it's Mercury. It's the nervous system. Right? It's the nervous system. It's the digestion. It's all of that. And this is for your forward movement. This is for your benefit. What's held, something I didn't realize, and we're going to talk about this more in the second part, is that what's held in the intestines, the emotion is guilt. Whatever you've been feeling guilty for, it's really important that you acknowledge it, because it doesn't want to eat and if it comes up out of nowhere, it's really important for you to find a time to sit with yourself and understand where this is coming from. Understand where this lives in your body, right? And I'll get more into that into the second part, but let's go through this. So you're getting deep insights to where you need to move forward and how this process needs to happen to be your own light right now. You can't hide it for so long. You can only do so much. When you shed what you need to shed, when you let go of, sell, repurpose, whatever that is, in the time that you need to do it, you'll have more control over your security. You'll feel safer. Because what you're going to possibly pick up on through this Mercury, so Mercury retrograde in Leo, Mercury was retrograde in Virgo, and it was preparing you to show you what you have and what you're capable of, and also your commitments. Virgo risings, Leo will be in the 12th house. This is also your subconscious coming to light. Reviewing what you can't have control over anymore. That it's not about doing something where in the end you'll fail because that's what you've set, your nervous system has been set to. It's about whatever proposed itself in Cancer season. When Mars moves into Cancer on the 4th, and then we have Mercury moving back into Virgo on the 9th with a Cancer degree. Again, real specific here. This is where the powerful exchange happens. This is where movement happens. And what's interesting is how we heal as we move forward in our present moment, and why it's so powerful. The Leo-Virgo axis, I think, or Cancer-Leo, Leo-Virgo axis, all depending, People may think they're in the past, they're in the future, they're here, they're there. No, they're those parts come up when they're so specifically in the present. They can't hide from it. They can't run from it. That's where you live. You know, Aries thinks they live there, but they always live in the beginning. They're living in the beginning. They're looking for the beginning. You're in the true present moment, in my opinion, again. At least in this reading. And what this may be causing you to become really aware of is where you haven't been cared for and where this looked different at a different time. At one point, what's secure to you was taking risks that you knew you weren't going to succeed fully in, because it actually, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, it was aligned with what your nervous system was set up for. And it's a lot to look at and it's a lot to see. And that's why I really wanted to add this part in, because I can't, when the camera is facing me, to be very honest with you, I'm still learning to overcome some things that I don't realize consciously. And this is helping you realize how much you already have overcame and you have grieved. But for some reason you hang on to the same pattern, and maybe it's one thing or another, but Pluto in Aquarius is revolutionizing your life, whether you notice or not, whether you're aware or not. That's not really, the point here. The point here is that this isn't you just jumping into something face first. This is you connecting with your purpose, and that all of that happened for this reason. There was no fault, no reason to want to change anything. That's not what we're saying here. You're just seeing this differently. You're feeling this differently. You have more security, maybe even more support. That maybe it wasn't even what you wanted, truthfully. Maybe it was what these people wanted for you. And now you're being able to completely address the situation in a way where when you look forward, this is now in your past. This is now you overseeing the future. And what you're capable of, and what was maybe clouding your judgment or clouding that new pathway, or just was just the pattern that you need to really deeply recognize and integrate in a way that is really important to you, especially if there was a Leo or a Sagittarius involved. Yeah, great. We'll get into the next part. That was part of it. We'll see you there.